I'm sure a couple of you must have seen me, heard me before. Oh, there are a lot of people known out here in different kinds. How many of you are hearing me for the first time? Oh, a lot of first timers. Okay. What's happening? क्या चल रहा है तुम्हारा? How many months have you done so far now? 6 months? Or 7 months? 7. How many people have done more than 7 months? How many people have done less than 3 months? हाथ खड़ा करो. Less than 3 months. So you all are new. Okay. Recently you joined. Okay. It doesn't matter. You will be lucky to hear. Okay. The other people will not get benefit. These are open classes and we do it in vision, primarily to enhance your understanding and open up dimensions to issues which are contemporary in nature. Okay. Usually we have a larger crowd, but doesn't matter. Okay. So, you had your lunch?
Yes, sir.
Eh? No, that side. Piche wala khaya nahi? Oh my God. So are you in a state to hear, or if you are feeling hungry, we'll break, we'll get some pizzas for you. It will be on my name. Huh? It's okay, I can order. भूख तो नहीं लग रहा है? Sure. Because if you are hungry, it will be very difficult to actually absorb what you speak. If I was your age, I would have never had, come and sit down hungry out here. पक्का? Yes or no? आपको तो पैसे नींद लग रहा है. Are you feeling sleepy? No. No. अच्छा. Okay. So how are you enjoying? Firstly, are you enjoying this phase of your life or not? Firstly, tell me. This is a very wonderful phase. Let me tell you. Preparation is a very wonderful phase. As long as you don't have anxiety in you, कि मेरा कल क्या होगा, ठीक है ना? अगर ये सोचने लगोगे तो फिर then you never enjoy. अगर ये सोचोगे कि भाई मेरा कल जरूर अच्छा होगा, ठीक है? You will start every moment of this, life that you have, because spending time 1 year, but where you're totally on a learning mode, a learning graphic, okay, it can't be better. Because when you are studying for your graduations or otherwise schools or something, there is an objective कि मुझे एक examination देना है, ठीक है, पास करना है. But यहाँ पर क्या है, you are not only trying to enrich yourself, but you are trying to remain in a competitive world, and obviously there is an aim why you are here. But since I have been addressing large gatherings on various issues, etc., I keep telling all people who are here that don't be too serious in life. Okay. I have never been serious. Frankly speaking, I have achieved whatever I wanted to achieve. The fact is, the day you start becoming very serious and, oh my God, if I don't get it, what will happen? If I don't, this doesn't happen, what will happen? If starts coming to you, your life will remain in a if only. Okay. So my request is that just enjoy this thing, and as long as you are diligent, you plan your studies, you remain absorbent, okay, and try to grasp everything that is around the way, let me tell you, success will definitely come to you. Okay, I'm telling you out of experience of having conducted a very large number of interviews at the UPSC level and also at the State Public Service Commission level, okay, and also at the defense selection boards. Okay. So when I see candidates, who actually make it to success, have been the guys who really enjoyed, and let me tell you, they've got a different bent of mind. Okay. And that's what actually takes people to success, frankly speaking. You make friends, you enjoy, okay, and the journey should be enjoyable. And you'll keep my remember my words, what I'm telling you, that definitely will succeed. and for some reason, let's say you don't make it to the civil services, the amount of empowerment of education that you get through here, okay, will make you so much fit that all other examinations will just be just cakewalk for you. Whether it's a banking, whether it's a PSU, or it is anything for that matter, it will just be cakewalk for you. So, kahin na kahin to number lagi jayega, and this is what the importance of the so-called you will call it a coaching or education out here, what you're looking for. It's a mission, and I'm sure you're going to do well. I'm sure she must have had a bite and come lunch. Lunch में खा के आए ना अपने, तो को बाकी आदमी खाना नहीं खाया. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, right. Today we have a very specialized topic which is gaining importance day by day, and very few institutions who are involved in the coaching, etc., actually have this topic. So on my suggestions, the group had started this. Why? Because firstly, from the questions point of view, what I've been saying that from 2021 onwards, ever since the Atman River Defence has become a state policy as far as the government is concerned, the number of questions that are coming, both in your prelims and your mains and also in interview, are increasing year by year. Say for instance, in 2023 there was a major questions on the government, that's on your GS3. Okay, mostly it was in GS2/GS3, but I find that connected to defence, a large amount of questions do come up, especially during the interview. Whether it is related to the strategic autonomy of the country, which is related to foreign policy, whether it is march of India as far as economic powerhouse is concerned, where defence economy plays a very major role, defence industry plays a very major role, or it is geostrategic issues, where our new area of domain into the field of in the field of defence, becoming a defence powerhouse, has also influence on the geostrategic issues. It also helps you in an essay paper, because essay papers are by and large becoming very, very oriented towards critical thinking process and your ability to aggregate large amount of information towards what you want to basically project in an essay. So, issues of defence which were essentially being thought in the past that, oh, they are basically for the armed forces, we don't have to do much about it. Little realizing that civil services itself has got about 4 services which are totally dedicated towards defence. Defence Accountant Service, Defence Estate Service, and whatnot, Cantonment Service. ऐसे करके 4 तो तुम्हारा वो है. There is no other department of the Government of India which has got dedicated so and so your services in the civil service as much as the defence. And today we no longer look at defence purely from the point of view of that it's only to be known by the people in the uniform. Civil services play a very important role in ensuring the defence of the country. Not only now, ever since these civil services had started, way back before the First World War. When did the civil services start, by the way? During the British time. When did it start? Any idea? 1926. 1919 to be precise. Okay, it started immediately after the First World War, when they suddenly realized that we need to bring in civil services, take Indian officers part of civil services, And as we move towards independence, there is pre-independence. The civil services, then Indian civil services officers played a very major role in ensuring huge amount of logistic support during the Second World War. And more important, civil services played a very major role during the independence of India and the transition of India from a pre-colonial to a post-colonial era. And many civil service officers were primarily deputed for Indian Defence Account Service and Indian Defence Ordnance Services, okay, to ensure the growth of Indian defence. We have a major part of the civil service, as I told you, Indian Ordnance Services, Indian Ordnance Factory Boards, Indian Ordnance Services, and so on and so forth. But as I mentioned to you, that we have one of the finest armed forces in the world, both in terms of professions, in terms of numbers, etc. But this armed force cannot be an effective force without a strong civil services, civil force or a civil society backing it up. For many, many years we thought that, as long as we manufacture few odd weapon systems for a local level and are able to import balance, then it will meet our requirement. We did make an effort post 62 operations. You know what 62, the war with China? You all aware of it now? Okay. We did make some efforts of post 62, wherein what you presently find the defense PSUs, defense public sector units, okay, they're the first time which came up after 62 operations, because we realized that we need to manufacture on our own. Though we had ordnance factories which you took over from the British. Okay, we had 40 odd ordnance factories which you took over from 36 to be precise. Later on we added something. But they were only meeting the British requirement of making very, very elementary stuff. किसी को क्लोथिंग कर दिया, किसने इक्विपमेंट बना दिया, किसने कुछ छोटा बहुत गोली बना दिया, ओके राइट हो, कोई किसने जूते बना दिया, एंड ऑल दैट थिंग विच डे. But we had not progressed to get into advanced defense manufacturing. So post in the 60s, we started establishing so-called defense PSUs like the Bharat Electronics Limited, the HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Okay, 6 PSUs came up post 1962 operations. Some more came up after the 71 operations, dealing with heavy metals, heavy armament factories, and so on so. But not much when you compare to the India, that totally we are actually having 8 defense PSUs till, I would say, beginning of the century, or I would say rather till 2020. Okay, till 2020. Something happened in 2020 with China. What happened? Say loudly. Galwan. Say all of you. Why I want to say loudly is that you have to remember these certain things, are very important in the nation's, progress. It has created huge amount of geostrategic, dimensions to our subcontinent. Okay, Galwan is a very important one. Because if you recollect, prior to Galwan, our government had actually gone ahead, extending hands to have friendship with China. If you recollect, President Xi had visited Ahmedabad, our Modi went all the way extent. Okay, we laid the red carpet for him, and so on and so forth, so that Chinese and we can become friends. But as you know, in international politics and diplomacy, there are no permanent friends, okay, it's only permanent interests. We couldn't gauge the Chinese the way it's supposed to be. Now, of course, we are getting surprised with even the American response. So then came Galwan, wherein the Chinese violated all the agreements that we had signed with them, especially regarding the border treaties. Okay, starting from 1995, the Treaty of Peace and Tranquility. Okay, then 98, then and so on and so forth. And it was such a setback that when we wanted actually to move troops and contest the Chinese aggression, we were found wanting of very, very special arms and ammunitions, and also equipment, and also critical electronics and other issues. Despite the fact that why it had happened was that the first attempt towards indigenization and defense was actually started by Prime Minister Vajpayee, okay, when the last BJP government was here. For some reasons, I am not trying to politicize between Congress and BJP, for that matter. From 2004, I think when the Vajpayee government fell, prior to that, I mean, he started the defense organization. Prior to that, it was just private industries coming to defense, was very, very minimal per se. So it started in last Vajpayee government, 99 onwards. And if you recall, in 99, we had the Kargil operations also. So every time such a thing happens, we run around the world for critical ammunitions and critical equipment. We did the same thing even in Kargil also. But we don't seem to learn lessons, adequately. The moment the BJP government fell, that is Vajpayee government, the next 10 years, when the Congress government came, all that indigenous effort in the defense industries was stopped. No private industries were permitted to come into the defense. Very sad that one government started a particular process, okay, and next government comes and stops it. The reasons are baffling. So the message that went to the private investors, anybody who is putting money, he is putting money for a long-term thing. Now suddenly if he puts in money into a defense industries and the next government comes out, he doesn't support it. So government support is essentially required primarily because the technology has to be imported. Okay, we need to have joint collaborations. There are a lot of government cheap defense agencies where we need to do trials and so on and so forth. So if you don't allow the private industries to come in, then how, if the government doesn't support, then how will the private industry survive? So it again went back. Whatever started by the Vajpayee government, okay, it went down during the Manmohan Singh's government. Then came the present government by President Modi. And despite the fact that the Vajpayee government had started impetus to the private defense industries, the Modi government in his first term did not take it up the way it's supposed to have been taken. They thought, because these are huge investment, huge technology challenges, no government wants to actually put its hand into that. Okay, if you can handle crisis through diplomatic solutions and avoid, then you will save that much money and so and so. Not a good thinking process, but then this is what it is on ground. So the first term of Modi government was just a lukewarm. It said, okay, we will get into Atmanirbhar and so, but then it was not moving the way it's supposed to be. Then actually, the kick came post-Galwan. It's hard to share, but let me tell you, our politicians learn only when they get a kick. The first kick Nehru got in 1962, okay, he couldn't survive, he died after that. The second partial kick Shastri got post 65, though we saved this thing, okay, I don't know the reasons, but then one of the reasons was that though 65 we won the war, as far as things are concerned, it went into a catastrophe, he died. 71 obviously was a different ball game. Despite all constraints, we won that particular war, and it was purely because of the generalship and the Indian troops fighting with the existing equipment. While many other countries of Europe, US and other things have started the indigenization process long time back, forget about advanced countries. I've served as a diplomat in many countries. I've seen in the Middle East, where I was stationed in Tehran, also in Baghdad. Those countries, Iran and Iraq, had started their defense industries long time back. And I was amazed when I visited some of these industries in Tehran, in Iran, in many places. Their industries were far superior than us. I had shared this with the Government of India, through my various contacts and subsequent interaction process. But then so much of dynamics actually govern the defense production per se. But then with the windfall, the change that took place post Galwan, the government decided that I think there is no other way now than to get into self-reliance of defense. And all that catchwords like Atmanirbhar and this and that and all that thing started in a very, very big manner. I wish all these things had started much early. So, now it has picked up, and now basically the government and the state is totally sensitized towards defense technologies, defense industries, and so on and so forth. Why it is important from a civil services point of view, as I just told you, not only from the questions which is, the number of questions has been increasing year by year. And I find in the interview, in this year's interview, where I was in the board also, in the civil services, I found a large amount of questions being put across by people towards the indigenous defense. And not only that, on defense cooperations, on defense diplomacy, on defense exercises, and so on and so forth. So this subject is becoming relevant both from the point of view of examinations and also from the point of our national sovereignty and strategic autonomy is concerned. And since it is integrating into a larger number of subjects per se, it will have relevance in GS2, GS3 definitely, in essay definitely, in prelims. Prelims sometimes you may get sketchy these things, but definitely in the mains and in the interview. So that was the questions, that was the exams part of it. Now from the understanding overall, from enhancing national power, national sovereignty, okay, and the national economy per se, it's important to understand the defense industries, the challenges which is there. Because it's got a direct bearing to national security. And those of you think that national security is only a domain of the armed forces, no. It's a domain of the civil services, the civilians. Because today national security consists of virtually everything. Be it technological security, be it food security, be it climate security, be it so on and so forth. Today national security is a very, very wide domain. It's not only confined to military per se. So unless all of us are geared up towards this concept that we need to enhance our defense industries in a manner, not that we want to have only a good fighting, and then, a lot of people think if you make defense industries stronger, so and so, we will get into a different mode of fighting and wars and so on and so forth. Not necessarily. Because if you are strong, let me tell you, okay, and if you are not dependent on other countries for your defense requirements and defense supplies, then your so-called desire towards sovereignty and strategic autonomy actually enhances, is actually directly linked towards strategic autonomy, which you are not doing. And the results is that, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, today, if at all we are given a tough response to the new tariff imposed by America, okay, though we are still dependent upon certain critical technology as far as US is concerned, is because we feel that we have achieved quite a large percentage as far as our defense technology and space technology is concerned. Even if the Americans deny such critical technology, we feel that we will be able to build up on our own, okay, and maybe with help of maybe the Russians and some European countries. But if this was the situation, if the stage on which the defense technology is moved in, if it is not achieved, we have not achieved this particular state what we are, let me tell you, our response to this latest diplomatic coercion being exercised by United States would have been entirely different, would have definitely succumbed. Would have definitely succumbed. In fact, the former army chief, Naravane, had made a statement that India at this stage can leverage our defense cooperation, defense technology integration with the United States to basically handle the tariff war. So it's important. So I thought I'll give you a prelude to this before I get into graphs and figures, etc., and tell you as to what the defense industry challenges are. Those are important from, of course, examination point of view. But remember one thing, that when you are now preparing for anything that you want, first understand the overall background of anything. And then get into the nitty-gritties of figures and this and that and so on. So, okay, because what matters during the entire course of your 3-stage tests that you go, prelims, then your mains, etc., as long as the overall concept is clear, let me tell you, you will be able to get through this examination. Because it never happens that one is aware of, I can tell you, neither in prelims nor in mains, you will not know more than 40% of the questions of the answers being answered. क्वेश्चन पेपर देख लिया ना आपने, आप पहले प्रीलिम को देख लोगे, आपको शुरू में आपको 30% ज़्यादा आपको नहीं आएगा. You will not be able to give you. If you are able to hold on to 30% at the initial stage, you can rest assured you will get through. So 30 to 40%, and then you through your permutation combinations, then your overall understanding of a situation. Okay, prelims में क्या होता है? At one stroke, let me tell you, if you are good and you are prepared well, आराम से 30% कर लो, किसको दाहिने में दिखोगे भी नहीं, पूछोगे भी नहीं है, ABCD के अंदर किसको टिक मारना है मुझे. But your success lies in getting into next 20-25%, 30%, because in any case the pass percentage in prelims is running around 55 to 60% के बीच में, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं है. So from 30%, if you want to graduate to next 20% of tick marks, correct, through your understanding of any concept is very important. Not only talk of defense, but any subject for the matter comes up. So when you prepare, please go through the background of it. If you're reading climate, go through the background of it. If you're reading geography, go through the background of it. That is the beauty and of this particular one-year course that you're doing it. Rather than just concentrating on this specifics, go back into the background, study. You will, in fact, when you analyze your prelims paper, that's the first stage, isn't it, the prelims. अगर उसको clear नहीं करो तो आगे तो नहीं जाओगे ना. Okay, so you will see that answering those grey areas of the prelims, okay, comes very, very, very important handy the moment you understand the concept of it. Otherwise, we have debated a lot, we are changing the pattern very shortly in a different pattern. I won't share this with you because I was part of that commission on the reforms of the civil services. But till such time it doesn't come up, okay, you have to accept this fact that yes, the objective test prelims will be the basis of your screening. It's actually screening because we can't handle so much of people in the written test. Sometimes it is cruel actually, if you see. You prepare so and so, and just for your galti se tumne negative mark kar diya, and you go down. I've seen also many times people who have lost prelims in this thing next test or something, they clear mains and also the final with lot of ease. But many times also flunk the prelims because taking chances and not gone through the details part of it. When I'll address you during the personality classes, in fact, I'll tell you the personality qualities which you ultimately look for in interviews are all equally applicable in some measure or the other, even in your prelims and also in your in prelims and mains. And if you start cultivating those qualities from the beginning itself, let me tell you that you will start understanding the concept of dynamics, how to answer the questions. Okay, having said this, let's have a preview of the Indian defense industries. Okay, you all can see it, no problems? Okay, or I should come to the side a bit, or that's the problem of a camera. Okay, so you see Indian defense budget, seen a steady rise. Our defense budget per se, defense budget in last from 2013-14, from 2.53 lakh crores, it has gone to 6.81 lakh crores. कोई छोटा तो अमाउंट नहीं है, 6.8 lakh crores, $78 billion today we are spending on defense. So तुम लोग कल सिविल सर्विस बैठे होते, if you are in finance में, okay, you will be concerned, yes or no? If you are finance secretary or finance department बैठोगे तो यार जब तक तुम लोग जाओगे उस लेवल पे ये तो करीबन $300 billion हो गया होगा. So let's take, okay, when you grow up tomorrow. So huge amount of money which is going into defense. And our defense production, surprisingly, there is an all-time high of 1.46 lakh crores. From where? Okay, today 1.46 lakh crores. I'll give you that slide little later. So, while the defense budget has increased almost 2.6 times, right? Simultaneously, our defense production has also increased. And most important is that the private sector is contributing 32,000 crores. That is, out of 1.46 lakh crores, is almost 32,000 crores. How much it comes out? How much percentage comes? 1.46, 1.5 ka 30, almost 20%. Okay, the private sector started contributing 20-25%. Earlier, it was very, very minimal. When I say private sector, it is not the defense public sector units. Are you able to understand? See, maybe you are just exposed. Let me explain to you. You have heard of HAL? You heard of BEL, Bharat Electronics Limited? All these are defense public sector units. समझ आ रहे? But private sectors are, ले लो Bharat Forge, Tata Advanced Systems, right? Kalyani. Okay. So all these are essentially private. So all these people used to contribute very less as far as the manufacture is concerned. When you talk of defense manufacturing. So today it is a staggering amount. Now, what is important is defense exports, okay, has gone all-time high to about 23,622 crores to be precise. Now, in 2020, our defense exports was less than 500 million. 2020. 5 साल के अंदर we have gone into this much. And took $500 million. Now we reached almost $2.76 billion. Okay, come to next. India's exports has gone to more than 100 countries. Can you imagine? Because there was a time people used to think that हम जो बनाएंगे तो कोई खरीदेंगे नहीं, because you got so much inferior items. It's gone to more than 100 countries. And in 2020, India ranked 23rd on the CIPRI's list of arms exporters. That's one. And Minister of Defense has signed 193 contracts worth of nearly 2 lakh crores. So this is today what the defense industry is all about. We are not talking of 1,000 crores, 100 crores, this thing. We are talking lakhs crores and billions of dollars. No other industry, singular industries in the whole country has got this much amount of, overall budgeting. So don't you think as civil servants, future civil servants, okay, in different section of the society, you should be concerned about this money? Or yes or no? हाँ भाई. But when defense budget is presented for approval to the parliament, many times in India, we don't even time able to debate also. It just passed. Because our knowledge of this particular so-called defense are so minimal, even either at the political level and also the bureaucratic level. तो political level का तो मारो गोली, अगर नहीं होगा, you as future bureaucrats come at least start becoming sensitive to this, yes or no? ये पैसे all taxpayers money ना, कोई ऊपर से तो नहीं आता है ना, कोई भगवान लक्ष्मी ने आके तो दे दिया भाई, चलो भाई डिफेंस के लिए ले लो कर हैं, क्यों? गणेश पूजा हो रहा है, चलो हमें दे दो करके, ठीक है? ऐसे ऊपर से तो नहीं आ रहा पैसा. See the amount of money that is going. Okay, nearly 7 lakh crores. Okay, so this is just to tell you the spectre of the defense industries. Now, what is Indian defense industries, the state like? We have 16 defense public sector units. But remember I told you some time back, we had 8 defense public sector units, somebody is writing, isn't it? But ये 16 कहाँ से आ गया? Can somebody say कि सर 16 का कैसे बढ़ गया all of a sudden? See, if you are not able to sometime grasp it, please raise your hands. You will be able to understand better the moment you are more interactive. Did you recollect that I said there were 8 defense public sector units? कि यहाँ पर 16 फिर कैसे आ गया? किसी ने हाथ नहीं उठा किया, सर अब तो 8 बता रहे थे, 16 कहाँ से आ गया? Who can say? Okay, good, very nice, till 2020. So, what happened after that? That we, from 8, it went up to 16. Maybe the private company, ये तो डिफेंस पब्लिक सेक्टर है, एक सरकार का है, गवर्नमेंट का है, मेक इन इंडिया आत्मनिर्भर के बाद इंडिया has established this thing. और anybody else? We had just 8 public sector units till 2020. अभी हमारे पास 16 आ गए. कहाँ से आ गया? एक्वायर कर लिया क्या गवर्नमेंट सरकार ने पैसे लगाकर? हैं? नेशनलाइजेशन ऑफ प्राइवेट सेक्टर है? You are coming somewhere to the answer. और कुछ बताओ. It's a very important question. Mind you, let me tell you this. है? It is? हैं? हाँ. हैं? कहाँ पर है? हाँ, दैट आई नो 74 है. ओके. है? इंक्रीज पीआर. अच्छा, एफडीआई इंक्रीज कर लिया तो इसलिए डिफेंस पब्लिक सेक्टर, वो तो फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट करेगा ना. बट मैं बता रहा हूँ कि जो डिफेंस पीएसयू होता है वो सरकार का है, इज होली ओन्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट. पीएसयू क्या होता है? यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज पीएसयू ना? पब्लिक सेक्टर यूनिट. ओ डिजास्टर. ओके. पब्लिक सेक्टर यूनिट, इसका मतलब है इट इज होली ओन्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट. देयर इज नो प्राइवेट इन दिस, इजंट इट? तो वी हैव सेड दैट 2020 तक जो है 8 था, अभी ये 16 हो गया. डबल कैसे हो गया? हाँ जी, बिकॉज ऑफ द आर्म्स रेस. Maybe there is more. But the private sector है. So they will, if you revive, they will remain private sector. Na? They can't become the government sector. Because of increase in budget, we created more. We created more public sector units. Or
many of the ordnance factories also started to collapse together to reduce the PSUs. So many of the ordnance factories also get converted to the PSUs.
What's her name? Shivam. He's coming close, but yet not. Something happened with the ordnance factories. What happened? It's been in news for quite some time. I don't know how you guys have not picked up. Especially those guys who have done more than 6 months. Huh?
Around 41 ordnance factories get converted.
Is coming now. Recollect, I told you sometime we had about 40 odd ordnance factories. Okay. 36 post independence, but Budbud के जो है 46 करीबन आ गए थे by till 2020. So what happened was this, most of the ordnance factories which started pre-independence or something post-independence were not performing the way it's supposed to be. They were all under a board called Ordnance Factory Board. There is a services called Ordnance Factory Board, Ordnance Factory Services, in the civil services. Yes or no? There is a service, if you go by this thing list, so तुम्हारा 23 services है in civil services, other than IS, IPS, there is also a service called Ordnance Factory Service or Ordnance Factory Board Service, ऐसा कुछ है, ठीक है? So there the people are going and heading this ordnance factories. Getting my point? These factories were not performing at all. And mind you, in all these factories, they are not manned by army people. They are manned by normal civilians, because वो तो factory workers है ना. उनको overnight, in one of the most swift action in post-independent history, they were broken in 2021. This is impact of the so-called Galwan. And they say that unless we reorganize these ordnance factories, which is basically white elephants, okay, we will not be able to produce the quality stuff. ये 46 ordnance factory को तोड़कर जो है 8 more PSUs were created. Please go through the net and go through the Google and other thing, whatever resources have you got. How the government of India, okay, reorganized the ordnance factory boards to create defense public sector units. This could be a question by itself. This was a very major thing. Now, when you break an existing factory which is more than 60, 70 years old, right? There are people who are workers. There are trade unionism which is there. So many things which are involved into that. In the past, if you recollect, when government had wanted to break some of the sick industries, okay, either in the field of textiles or in the field of other fields, Bombay में जो हुआ था, do you recollect कितना revolt हुआ था, कितने strike हुआ था, सब कुछ. The moment you start breaking any established government industries, there is always revolt, because those workers who are so used to so-called comfortable life, okay, तनख्वाह आ रहा है, सब कुछ आ रहा है, पेंशन मिल रहा है, ओके, प्रोडक्शन करेंगे तो स्ट्राइक कर लेंगे, ट्रेड यूनियन मेंटालिटी, इन सबको रातों रात चेंज करा के, एंड दिस हैज टू बी पास थ्रू पार्लियामेंट to create these things and reorganize them was one of the biggest achievement, in which took place in 2021. That's called reorganization of the ordnance factories in India. And then was born 8 more defense public sector units with various specialization. Somebody is going to make only ammunition, somebody is going to make only tanks, somebody is going to make only vehicles, somebody is going to make only equipment, and so on and so forth. And this is one of the major reorganization that has taken place in post-independent India. So we have now 16 DPSUs manufacturing tanks, warships, aircrafts, ammunition, and employing more than 2 lakh people. More than 2 lakh people in 70 factories all across the country. Each of these PSUs have got so many factories placed all over. So this is a very major thing as far as Indian defense industry is concerned. So how the Indian defense industry is organized is that it operates through 16 DPSUs, and there is a separate department at the Government of India under Ministry of Defense called, anybody can say, which is the department which handles the defense manufacturing? Ministry of Defense Production. There is one Ministry of Defense, and under this thing, then Ministry of Defense Production. A department headed by a Secretary, Government of India. Okay, Ministry of Defense Production. So much is the importance of defense production per se. More than 48 joint ventures among Indian industries and major FOEM. FOEM stands for Foreign Original Equipment Manufacturers. FOEMs, Original Equipment Manufacturers, are currently in operations. Prior to that, we used to have very less joint ventures. Very, very less joint ventures. So today we have 48 of them. Defense sector opened for private sector participation in 2001. That was the time I told you when Vajpayee was there. Okay, in 2001. So we only opened up in this century. So हमको independence कब मिला? पक्का? हाँ, 47. अब डाउट क्यों हो रहा है? हाँ बोलना जोर से. 1947 ना? Okay. So 47 से लेकर 2001, okay, कितना साल हो गया? 54 years, whatever it is. Okay. 50 साल लग गया हमको ये सोचने के लिए कि भैया प्राइवेट सेक्टर जो है डिफेंस में आना चाहिए कर कर 50 साल। क्यों, बात सही है ना? अब हाथ हिला रहे हो ऐसे। यस बेटे, हाँ, व्हाट्स योर गुड नेम? ली। यू आर फ्रॉम मणिपुर और असम? हैं? अरुणाचल। विच डिस्ट्रिक्ट इन अरुणाचल? West Siang. Good. I've been there. Okay. So, this is what it is. And today, 2001, private sector companies, including 430 licensed companies and 16,000 MSMEs. In 2020, we had less than 1,000 MSMEs. In 2020, we had less than 1,800 something to be precise. And in 5 years, today, just see, 16,000 MSMEs which are there. I find so many young guys, straight from colleges and universities, okay, कोई ड्रोन बनाता है, कोई रडार बनाता है, कोई इक्विपमेंट बनाता है, and mind you, they're doing amazing things. Amazing things. See the impact of a change of policy. You guys as future civil servants will always also be interested with policy making. Do you know this? Policy formulation and policy implementation. I wish some bureaucrat in the past would have been so emphatic in telling the political establishment that we should have allowed the private industries to come up. When I say private industry, it is basically you and me. People generally, who can anybody get into industries of manufacturing? कितने employment देखो generate हो रहा है. So today the impact is that we have 16,000 MSMEs which are there. Maybe you will get a small little option in your prelims or something, ki how many MSMEs are there in the defense sector? 15,000, 14,000, 16,000, so and so. Or just for knowledge that today is a huge amount that you have 16,000 MSMEs. And we have 52 DRDO. DRDO stands for? Defense Research Development Organization. This is the apex organization for all defense research. And we have 52 laboratories where research is done, I think carried out. Okay. Though I would say, as a person who being in defense, we are not very happy at all, most of the time. But it is also undergone tremendous amount of transformations. Okay. And what is opening is that, what is important is that the defense sector, research and development, has opened up to academic collaborations also. Today it is collaborating with very large number of universities and other academic institutions, wherein new ideas are being tested, new technologies are being created, new startups are being created, new incubation centers are coming up, defense incubation centers in these areas. If you just walk over to Delhi IIT, they have opened up a huge center of excellence for defense incubation centers. I mean, amazing. They have virtually put every small department, small vertical in that, electronics, mechanical, and so on. So, I mean, when I visited last year, I was amazed that a university could actually get into such, a institution like IIT could get into such things. This is the sensitivity, and it's only going to grow in times to come. So there is a overall this thing. So when you look at the profiling of the Indian defense industry, if you get a question of what do you understand by the defense industry's person, Indian defense industry person, so they are the points that you should keep in mind. because many people will not be aware as to what defense industry hota kya hai. Now you see how to divide it. You have PSUs, you have joint ventures, you have private sector, and so on, so kar. Okay. See, what happens is that as future policy makers and formulations, it's very important that you create such enablers by which you start progressing in any field. So what is this? So there was a major defense policy change which took place called Defense Production and Export Promotion Policy of 2020. That's called DP and export DPEP policy, whatever it is. You may get a question, I don't know. But the fact is there was a policy change which took place in 2020. What was this thing? They said 25 billion defense industry products, including 5 billion exports. We will, by 2025, we will reach a defense production of 25 billion and a 5 billion exports. And what is this year? 2025. We have exceeded this target. When it was laid out in 2020, I remember, people said, yaar, 5 billion exports? Kaun kharidega hamara? People are laughing. But normally what happens is that we keep a little bigger number. चलो 5 नहीं हो तो अब 4 हो जाएगा, 3.5 हो जाएगा. ठीक है ना, कहीं नहीं तो पहुंच जाएंगे. ओके 25 बिलियन नहीं है तो कम से कम यार 18, 15, 20 तो हो ही जाएगा. टारगेट तो लगा देते हैं, क्या फर्क पड़ता है. टारगेट लगाने तो कोई पैसा तो नहीं लगता है ना, लगता है क्या? ओके चलो टारगेट लगा देते हैं. कैन यू इमेजिन दिस टारगेट has already been achieved, and by the time we finished 25, by next year April, March, okay, we would have all gone at least to 5.5 and this would have gone ahead. Tremendous feat, let me tell you. And it's not come because of the government only, it's come because of the huge private sector participation. And when we talk of private sector participation, it's the civil society, and you are in the civil services. Because when you go back, suppose you get selected, when you get into the districts or otherwise, there will be huge amount of opportunities which will come up to facilitate such things. And this has been achieved. Liberalize FDI, foreign direct investment. This is again a policy issue. Are you able to grasp, understand? Because I know it's a little new subject, but are you able to grasp? That's why I'm going very slowly. Just to, wherever you can't get, just stop me. FDI. What is the importance of an FDI? FDI क्यों चाहिए हमें? It's called foreign direct investment. Now, when foreign companies start putting money into own, that's an investment, it's called investment. मैं क्या अपना पैसा कंट्री में डाल रहा हूँ, ठीक है? इसका मतलब है कि आई एम नॉट कमिंग ऑन अ चैरिटी. समझे? आई एम ए फॉरेन कंपनी. इफ आई वांट टू इन्वेस्ट, एम आई कमिंग फॉर ए चैरिटी? अपने पैसे डालूंगा टू मेक माई प्रॉफिट. ना पैसे कौन से सेक्टर में डालूंगा? ओके, आई कैन पुट इट इन A industry, B industry, C industries. I'm not on defense. I can put it in electronics. I can put in anything for that matter. See, I've got money. Let's say I'm a foreign company. But if I'm a foreign defense company, I want to put money in Indian defense. कल मैं पैसे अपने पैसे लगा दिया. There are no orders. हिंदुस्तान आर्मी नहीं खरीदेगा, और इट कैनॉट बी एक्सपोर्ट ओरिएंटेड एंड सो ऑन सो फोर्थ. ओके, एंड व्हेन इट डजंट हैपन, व्हेन द फॉरेन कंपनी ऑलवेज सेज कि दैट इफ यू रेस्ट्रिक्ट अस कि नो, यू विल ओनली पुट 10%, यू विल ओनली पुट 15%, बाकी इंडिजिनस हो जाएगा. बिकॉज इन द नेम ऑफ सिक्योरिटी a large amount of money, this percentage was being restricted for a pretty long time. In fact, the highest that we had achieved with a lot of negotiations with government approval prior to 2020 was only 25%. But in a major change, policy change, we allowed 74% through the government route, and when it says government was 74%, and 100% FDI through government approval. You still go through the government, but you don't require government permission till 74%. But if you want to go above 100%, 74%, 100% that were allowed that you can put money into this foreign direct investment. Never it has happened कि आप डिफेंस इंडस्ट्री के अंदर कोई फॉरेन मैन्युफैक्चरर को बोलोगे तुम 100% जो है आप कर सकते हो कर This is a very major change. Okay. And then you come to defense acquisition procedure of 2020. Okay. Just to tell you, we all can see it properly, this, or the prints are okay. Broadly I'll tell you what will happen is that the large amount of equipment and spare parts that we are manufacturing, we are importing. ऐसा कोई इक्विपमेंट नहीं था, ओके, यहाँ तक कि एक छोटा सा इफ आई टेक यू माई नाइट विजन बाइनोकुलर ले लो, ओके, कि कोई इंस्ट्रूमेंट ले लो, कंपास ले लो, जो हम यहाँ पर बनाते थे, वेरी फ्यू आइटम था कि जिसमें कोई फॉरेन इक्विपमेंट नहीं लगता था. Because anything in defense are a very, very high standard. So apparently our manufacturers were not making it. They didn't have the capacity to make it. A very bold decision was taken that ये items जो हैं इसके बाद हम import नहीं करेंगे. So when it happened, obviously the users, the services, they were the one who objected to it. He says, if tomorrow there's a war, and you say कि हम import नहीं करेंगे ये सारे सामान, अभी तो import कर रहे थे, ठीक है, what will happen? We'll be left high and dry. और ये सबको बनाने के लिए जो है, अपने country के अंदर बनाने के लिए जो है, हमको कितना समय लगेगा? I think the government is very firm. जैसे कि इसको किसी हालत में हम नहीं करेंगे. So 5 lists came one after another, succession list came 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is initially started being called as a negative list. Okay, but later on it got changed to a positive list. That negative was not sounding properly good, that good. Nearly 500 odd items, somewhere I put this thing, 5 positive Indian lists for defense services covering 500 items. हमने बताया कि इसको हम बिल्कुल import करेंगे नहीं, and it was left to the private industries. Now you start making it. And let me tell you, share with you happily that Indian defense manufacturers, private, have already got success in more than 200 such items, almost 40% of the items so far, in a matter of just 4-5 years. So when you talk our capability, it's all there within us. Is there within you, with your friends, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, who are there in the civil. And जो ये कर रहे हैं, I have seen people of your age only. So this is the dynamics of policy formulation. It's a huge risk, let me tell you, at the government level, the political level. अगर इस दौरान जो है, if there was another attack by the Chinese, we had it. So to take such decisions, उसके लिए दम लगता है. And that is the reason why in the past, political leaders did not take this decision. Because there is a gestation period. बोलेगा हम import नहीं करेंगे, पर बनाएगा कौन? क्या कंट्री के पास कैपेबिलिटी है, पैसे है, प्राइवेट के पास ताकत है? Now it's a big risk. बीच में लड़ाई हो जाएगा, the country loses, and we have seen in the past, whenever there is a military defeat, it has led into political debacle. Yes or no? Any military outcome is very strongly linked to politics, political issues. Either the government falls or the government rises. So, the hats up to this present government, that, and then the service headquarters, they worked over day and night to ensure that we maintain that particular amount of preparedness, so that despite not having importing critical items which have been banned rather in this thing, we could go ahead and start manufacturing things. The idea to take home is that when you want to change something which is so dramatic and drastic as something like a defense preparedness, tomorrow it may be electronics, it may be anything, or it may be AI. Unless you have strong policy enablers for which you will all be responsible, you cannot succeed. You cannot bring change. Yes, the ultimate decision will be by the parliament or with the political issues, but then all the feedbacks has to go from the bureaucrats, whoever it is. अब बोलेगा सर अभी तो हम एग्जाम ही नहीं क्लियर किए, आप बोलते हो हमें पूरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दे रहे हो. Yes. Unless you are seized of this, there's a question we normally ask during interviews. करके, tell me, what do you think as a role as a civil servant, or what are your tasks, sir? So one of the things when you talk of policy formulation and this thing so and so, we immediately ask, can you tell me how can you through some policy enablers you can influence the things? Or can you give us example where good policy of the government has made a dramatic progress? You can cite this example, one of these things. It can even be part of your essays, it can be part of your other things. How policy enabling, how policies have changed the entire profiling of a huge industries like a defense industries. अगर वो ऑर्डिनेंस फैक्ट्री को तोड़े नहीं होते, डीपीएस नहीं बनाते, अगर हम एफडीआई रिस्क नहीं लेते, ओके, क्योंकि ऑल फॉरेन आर्म्स कंपनीज आर vultures. उनको तो चाहिए कैसे आके पाउंस कर ले, बिकॉज इंडिया इज ह्यूज मार्केट. ओके, दे विल नॉट अलाउ आर इंडिजिनस ग्रोथ. वो अपने आप करेंगे सब. दे विल प्रोटेक्ट टेक्नोलॉजी, बिकॉज कल टेक्नोलॉजी उनका हाथ से निकल जाएगा तो उनके पास कुछ भी नहीं है. सो दे विल प्रोटेक्ट, because wealth creation, wealth issues, or rather any country's dominance is primarily through technology. If America पास technology नहीं होता तो कौन उसको सुनेगा? And that's why they make money. Everywhere, we don't realize this. Early morning when you get up and you go to the washroom, tell me how many Indian products do you see in your toilet? Colgate was not here. Palmolive ले लो, फलाने ले लो, ओके. अब कुछ भी जिलेट ले लो आजकल. ओके, जिलेट कहाँ का, इंडिया का है? जिलेट रेजर होता है ना, शेविंग क्रीम होता है, किसका होता है? Which country belongs to? इंडिया. आप मुझे एक प्रोडक्ट बता दो इन योर टॉयलेट्स which belongs to इंडिया. हैं? डेटॉल? नो. ओरिजिनली यूएस, यूके. हाँ बताओ. हाँ, एक वो आजकल बेचारा रामदेव आ गया, ठीक है ना, इसलिए वो क्या, वो दंत, व्हाट इज दैट टूथपेस्ट? दंत काठी, सॉरी दंत कांटी. ओके, एक वो घूम रहा है किसी टॉयलेट में, मैं कभी कभी देखता हूँ. Is there anybody else who can name one Indian item in your toilets? आप बताओ. I'll tell you whether it's Indian or foreign. आप बताओ. हाँ. है? Phenyl? No. No. है? डाबर. Yes, but डाबर तो कोई सुबह सुबह टॉयलेट पे रखता नहीं है. Unless honey. है? कौन सी टूथब्रश इंडियन बताओ. हाँ. हाँ. वाई. अगर हम डिफेंस बना सकते हैं, आप मुझे बताओ कितना, हाउ मेनी एमएसएमईज? 16,000 एमएसएमई अगर हम क्रिएट कर सकते हैं, या टेल में हम टूथपेस्ट नहीं बना सकते हैं यार. हाँ, now you come to the point. They will not let us, and nobody lets us to do things. So this is where our importance comes in, that we have to develop ourselves. अब शर्ट्स ले लो, कपड़े ले लो आपके, एरो से लेकर, बेनिटन से लेकर, फलन से लेकर, एक ऑल ऑफ अस, इफ आई टेल वॉट एवर, कोई गैप पहन रहा है, फलन, वेरी फ्यू ऑफ अस आर वेयरिंग लोकल क्लोथ्स. लोकल क्लोथ्स डजंट मीन दैट आई से कि खादी पहन के घूमो, ऐसा नहीं है. बट देयर आर लॉट ऑफ लोकल ब्रांड्स. हाउ मेनी पीपल आर बाइंग इट? हैं? Judio. But Judio is not, Judio सिर्फ only subsidizes your price levels. Okay. Huh? Yeah? Which one? No, Reliance Trends तो तुमको just a platform, just outlet है वो. Okay. Huh? What I am trying to tell you is that we must rise as Indians. We must rise as Indians, because every piece, okay, that we use is without knowingly, unknowingly, okay, the money goes outside. And so also was the defense. Now defense is now and despite the fact that we didn't have much of resources. What I want to say, okay, forget about, that was in lighter mood, but since we are talking about defense, who is he? ये कौन है? हैं? हाँ भाई, कौन है ये? तुम यूपी के है ना? तुम यूपी का हो? तुम बिहार का हो? Who are from UP? हाँ, okay. And he has done a tremendous job, let me tell you. Silent worker, okay, he's done a tremendous job. So, this is in a nutshell the policy enablers which took place. Now coming to our key points. Okay. The first point, can somebody read? Is something which has never happened in post-independent India. Can somebody read? हाँ, आप बेटे पढ़ो. जोर से पढ़ो.
For financial year 2025-26, MOD has earmarked 75% of modernization budget amounting to rupees
1,11,000.
That is nearly $12.34 billion for
Procurement through domestic industries. मतलब एमओडी ने, सरकार ने इतना पैसा रखा है कि भैया डोमेस्टिक इंडस्ट्रीज आप बनाओ. ओके, अब बनाने के बाद हम गवर्नमेंट ये नहीं बोलेगे हमारे पास पैसे नहीं है. ये होता है ना कि मेनी टाइम्स द गवर्नमेंट डजंट हैव मनी, यू विल मेक समथिंग. इट हैपेंस इन मोस्ट ऑफ द प्लेस. बट द फर्स्ट टाइम द मिनिस्टर ऑफ डिफेंस सेड कि भैया हमारे पास 1 लाख करोड़ रखा हुआ है ओनली थ्रू डोमेस्टिक. आप फॉरेन से नहीं है. अगर आप डोमेस्टिक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करोगे, जो भी करोगे, हम खरीदने के लिए तैयार है. छोटा मोटा पैसे नहीं है, 1 लाख करोड़ है. और उसमें से व्हाट सीतारमण डिड वाज शी पुट 76,000 crores इन अ सेपरेट हेड. ही सेज कि इसको मैं टच नहीं करूंगा, कि दिस इज एन एश्योर्ड थिंग. हैं? बच्चे 50% हो गया ऑलरेडी इसकी, 50% डोमेस्टिक प्रोक्योरमेंट हो गया है, मोर देन 50,000 करोड़ टिल नाउ. अभी तक फाइनेंशियल बाकी है. इट्स नॉट दैट पैसा खर्च करने के लिए ये नहीं कि आर्मी खरीद रहा है, जो भी बना रहे हो टूटे फूटे चलो खरीद लो, वो ऐसे नहीं है. देयर आर ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन क्वालिटी चेक्स बिफोर वी स्टार्ट बाइंग थिंग्स. What I want to say is that the government, the policy is that just to boost up the defense thing, the government is telling the private industries, manufacturers, biggest problem for if you are a manufacturer, अब आप बनाओगे कि मैं बना दूंगा, मेरा सामान क्यों डिफेंस तो गवर्नमेंट ही खरीदेगा ना. ओके, अगर कल सरकार खरीदेगा नहीं, बोलेगा हमारे पास पैसे नहीं है, जो कि हमें आमतौर पर होता है, क्या करोगे आप? आई पुट सो मच मनी, फैक्ट्री लगाया मैंने, सब कुछ किया, ठीक है, उसके बाद भाई ठप. यू हर्ड ऑफ देयर वाज इंटरव्यू व्हिच वाज फ्लोटिंग अराउंड इन सोशल मीडिया, इसका बाबा कल्याणी, यू नो बाबा कल्याणी, ही इज द हेड ऑफ द भारत फौज कल्याणी सिस्टम्स. यू सी ही स्टार्टेड took a great initiative of going to manufacturing of a artillery gun. गन होता है ना हमारा, एक गन होता है कि जो कि नॉर्मल छोटा छोटा होता है, और मस्ट हैव सीन बड़े बड़े गन होते हैं जो कि दे फायर लॉन्ग डिस्टेंसेस. ओके, 20 किलोमीटर, 30 किलोमीटर, 40 किलोमीटर, 50 किलोमीटर फायर करते हैं. ओके, समझा रहे. सो बाबा कल्याणी बीइंग अ नेशनलिस्ट बोलता है यार एक इतना बड़ा हिंदुस्तान है, सर में गन नहीं बना पा रहे हैं यार, हम सब बाहर से लेके आते हैं. He started basically as a Bharat is a forge, is a forging company. He started way back. When he started manufacturing, I have read his interview in his social media. अभी recently आया था. People started laughing. बोलता है यार तुम गन बनाओगे यार, कहाँ कैपेबिलिटी है? So the more he was ridiculed, the more he was motivated, started manufacturing. And he produced one of the best weapon systems, okay, and he demonstrated it in (2017 or 18). The government rejected. Can you imagine? He was so disappointed because it was not meeting few odd percentage requirement. By the time he himself out of his own money had put in more than 2,000 crores. Now because he was an industrialist, he could get onto that particular thing, and government said, no, I can't buy it. Now tell me, if a fellow like Bharat Force Baba Kalyani with a capital outlay of more than 5,000 crores for his company, okay, makes a particular thing, और उसके order सरकार नहीं खरीदता है, where does he go? But he kept quiet. Came 2020. All his efforts went into a tremendous amount of procurement. Today he is one of the biggest gun manufacturers in the world. Biggest gun manufacturer in the world. So what I have to say is that this is the money which is there, and India is targeting 3 lakh crores in defense production by 2029. 3 lakh crores in defense production. We're just 1 lakh now. By 29, in another 4 years, we want to go 3 times in defense productions. And the government aims to achieve 50,000 crores in defense export by 2029. That is, now it is 25,000 crores. We want to double our defense exports by so and so. And I will not get into this, is more technical. But the point to take over from this slide is that पैसे 1 लाख करोड़ के ऊपर सरकार पर रखा है, भाई तुम बनाओ और हम खरीदेंगे. नंबर 1. नंबर 2 is that we want to increase defense production by 3 lakh crores by 29, right? Make it triple from now on, and also double our defense exports by 29 in अंदर 4 साल के अंदर. Defense production 3 गुना करेंगे, defense exports double करेंगे in another 4 years time. Now this are very important from the point of view of understanding. Okay, The key initiatives. You got some other class now? Achha, okay. The key initiatives that has taken place as far as the private industry is concerned is Tata Aircraft Complex. Now, the Tata Aircraft Complex in Baroda in 24 to manufacture C-29 aircrafts. Okay, आज तक हम कोई एक हवाई जहाज नहीं बना पा रहे हैं. And this is a transport aircraft. ये जो खड़े हैं ना, ये वाला, ये टाटा वाले जो खड़े हैं, ये सब, this is a transport. This is not even a fighter aircraft. हवाई जहाज दो प्रकार का होता है. एक हो फौज में, एक ट्रांसपोर्ट होता है जो कि आदमी को लेता है, इक्विपमेंट लेता है, फेरी करता है. हैव यू सीन इन योर डिस्ट्रिक्ट दोस एयरक्राफ्ट्स कमिंग? अरुणाचल, क्या तुम्हारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट में हेलीकॉप्टर जाता है? नहीं जाता है. यू डोंट सी. यू आर इन दिल्ली ऑल द टाइम. ओके, ऑल दिस एयरफोर्स, यू नो, दे हैव लॉजिस्टिक्स प्लेन्स. और उनका दूसरा हवाई जहाज क्या होता है? जो कि लड़ाई करता है. कैन यू नेम फ्यू फाइटर एयरक्राफ्ट्स? सुखोई, फिर राफेल, MiG-21, गुड, जागुआर और तेजस. हाँ हैं, हाँ, या somebody said some 400 क्या है? ओ चाइनीज वाला है वो. गुड, अच्छा. S-400 हवाई जहाज नहीं, इट्स एयर डिफेंस सिस्टम्स, एयर डिफेंस सिस्टम. ओके, सो फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम Tata himself said कि I will manufacture this aircraft, and the government of India has given him orders कि C-29. This is the first venture by a Indian private company, okay, to get into manufacturing of a military passenger plane. And only Tata could take it, everything is concerned. Then the key initiatives are there that when you make lot of defense equipment, you need to test them also. So we have created some defense testing infrastructure scheme. Okay, that's what the government has taken initiative. And then the annual defense innovation event. All that you say is that the private companies today are going in for not only chota mota manufacturing, but manufacturing of the aircrafts. They are going in for huge amount of, and the government is trying to facilitate that you make it. We will ensure that your testing is done. We will ensure that your procurement is done. We will ensure that your trials are done. So and so the government initiatives are there. So that is the reason why the defense industry is actually picked up. And the same analogy, the same type of thing can tomorrow, you are asked any question that let's take how exactly you will promote an industry in a country. It's a question could be there. Okay, how do you ensure, say tomorrow, the growth of the AI industry, the electronic industries, and so on, the manufacturing industries. So as future government servants, okay, you should be sensitive to the fact that unless we create good policy decisions to enable the ecosystem, the environment, number one. Number two, unless you take very key initiatives to ensure, to reach out to the private people that, okay, come into manufacturing, right? We will not be able to create that system. Last month I was in Singapore for some talk there. We had a visit by Chandrababu Naidu. He's the Chief Minister of? Which country? Andhra या तेलंगाना? बोलो, जोर से नहीं बोल रहे यार. आंध्र प्रदेश ना, वही बोलो ना. So he's a seasoned this thing. He gave a talk. Then his son, who is the industry minister, what's his son's name? Chandrababu Naidu's son? Okay, forget about it. His son, he's a very maverick fellow. Okay, studied abroad. During his address to the investors in Singapore, he mentioned one thing. He said, if you come to my state and you come with a project, and the moment we accept it, he says, that project is now my project, it's no longer your project. Now, since you are not very much exposed to the dimensions of industry, let me explain to you how important is this. Today what happens is that the industries people are really disappointed many times when they go to the government, because there are 101 restrictions, 101 clearances, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people get totally disgusted and they leave. In the past, many foreign industries, why they have not been able to come is that our bureaucratic system, government systems, has just not been conducive as far as the industries are concerned. This is how China rapidly increased their industrialization. Their system is, is that at a district level, they have something called a political commissar. The moment the government clears you for industries, establishing industries, any foreign or anything for that matter, the political commissioner takes over the complete charge. He says, okay, you want to establish these industries? Now we will take on the responsibility of providing land, water, clearances, vagara, vagara, jo bhi kuch hai, everything. But our cost is this much, there is no doubt about it. It doesn't matter. In China, you can literally establish any industries within a matter of 45 days. Production, from concept to production, they say is 45 days. In India, you can't think of it also. You just can't think of it. So coming back to what I was trying to tell you, that these are the systems, because when you get into defense, you require, अपने बना दिया, उसको कहाँ टेस्टिंग करोगे, उसको कैसे लोगा, फलाना करे, 101 things are there. So the government has created a full ecosystem of this. So coming back to what the key initiatives, the catchword is key initiatives. There are so many initiatives. But if you get a question, kid, sir, what are the key initiatives as far as the government is concerned, as far as enhancing defense production is concerned? Could be some of the points that I just mentioned to you. But as future bureaucrats, what's more important is that you have to ensure that the ecosystem is created. Now I'm giving you a lot of inputs, not only from the point of defense industry, but how exactly to even address question answers in the form of your GS2 and your essays and otherwise. Okay, now coming to growth of the Indian exports, we just discussed. Here is just a graphical descriptions that we jumped from $686 million or 686 crores to 23,000 crores. How many, कितना jump है ये? ये पूरा total high jump किया उसने. Pole vault, नहीं high jump में pole vault है क्या? सबसे ऊपर किस में जाते हो height में? Pole vault? पक्का? उससे ऊपर जा नहीं जाते कुछ नहीं. You all play games or not? How many people play games? Something, हाँ, क्या? Tennis, good. You? Cricket? Cricket and? Oh, good, that's wonderful. Archery? और कुछ? उस तरह से कोई गेम में नहीं खेलते हो पीछे वाले? नहीं? Why are you feeling shy? I asked the last person, तो मुंडे हिला रहा हो, नहीं खेल रहा हूँ. हैं? You are from which place? Last one. Huh? Manipur. Okay. I hope not from Churachandpur or Churachandpur district? Eh? You're proper Imphal. Okay. Okay. See the jump. And if you are an importer, are you going to accept any substandard stuff? Yes or no? हाँ नहीं? No, na? So the very fact that outside people are accepting our stuff, that means it has passed the quality test. It's actually a salute to our private manufacturers. It's not the armed forces, I'm talking. It's private manufacturers. People like you. There's a fellow from IG Drones karke company hai. He came to me for some help, about 2 years back. I gave him some guidelines, you can go about this and that and so and so. I was amazed, that what he's developed later, though he lost touch with me, I just gave him some few guidelines. He developed kamikazes. You know what are kamikazes? They're called suicide drones. और ड्रोन जाके सीधा अटैक कर देता है, kamikaze. And these drones are utilized in Operation Sindoor. 2 साल के अंदर this student is a basically student from a normal engineering college in Orissa. उसने एक ऐसा ड्रोन बनाया कि आर्मी यूज्ड इट फॉर ऑपरेशन सिंदूर. ही इज नॉट इवन 30. You have optional class. Okay. So how much time? Okay. You want me to go fast or how much time you go? Because I was told for 2 hours. Is it going to? Okay. Okay. Okay, right. I quickly. No, I intentionally went a little slow just so that it drives home. Whatever there's no point telling you too many things which you can't absorb. Okay. Right. So this is what it is. Now come to. Okay, I'll skip this. I'll also skip this. I'll also skip this. Yes. Okay. या क्यों नहीं रहा? अच्छा. Okay. What I'll do is that by and large, have you been able to grasp the growth of the defense industries, how it grew up? I took a lot of time is evolution, the policy enablers, the key initiatives, okay, and how the defense industry is shaping up. Okay. Just to carry home, I won't delay you, is that the product trends today, okay, are tremendous. As far as we have the electronic warfare systems, we have the autonomous platforms, we have the missiles, rocket launchers, protection equipment, and all these are being made by these guys. Can you see? They are all private industries. L&T, Tata's, PTC, Kalyani, Ashok Leyland. Though they are big timers, right? But they have moved into this particular field. In nutshell, what is giving such thing? Okay. We'll try to summarize this, that the private sector contributed 22% in 23 towards defense manufacturing. So, just to carry home certain points, that we have a public sector, government, and you have a private sector. Getting my point? The private sector contribution was very minimal. It was very, very less. Today it is contributing to 22%. Almost you're going to touch quarter of this thing. That's very thing. Defense exports, okay, have gone up so and so, and is likely to go at 21% CAGR annually till 2030. What is CAGR? Compounded annual growth rate. Okay, 21%. Can you imagine? This is what we're expecting. Right. the defense industry to grow at 13% CAGR. That is, exports, our industries are likely to. There is no other industry in the whole country which is expected to go at this level. No other industries. And defense offsets, just to tell you, sometimes I saw one question coming a long time back on what is defense offsets in your, I think, prelims or something. Or somewhere it has come offset. Offset is, if I am a foreign manufacturer, I want to come and manufacture here. So the government said कि अगर आप 100 रुपया डालोगे, if 100 rupees, sorry, is the worth of the contract, 30 rupees you will put inside India for your own manufacturing, but 30 rupees you will invest in India. Based upon that, will allow you to come. So that is a huge amount. Today we have, that amount is got 8 to 9 billion which is available to us, defense offsets. So if you get a question what is offset, offset is nothing but a percentage of the overall contract amount which the foreign manufacturer has to put in the domestic country, in our own country. You understand what is offset? So itla offset ho jayega. That's why the term offset. Okay, I did come across a question offset. That's why I just put it. We have, and there's a question also called defense corridors. Today we have two defense corridors. One which has come up in Chennai, and second which has come up in UP. One in Tamil Nadu and second is in UP. Right? The government is planning more amount of defense corridors, but when the defense corridors were supposed to come, again it was a big question of doubt ki whether defense corridors will succeed or not succeed. But amazingly, defense corridors has been a success and they are churning out almost 25,000 crores and 11,000 crores, almost 36,000 crores of business in these areas. Defense corridors. And as I told you, allocation utilization of funds, 76,000 crore सीतारमण ने रखा है कि भैया हम आपके लिए रखें आप इस्तेमाल करो करके. आज अभी तक जो है 28,000 crore has been utilized already out of this 28,000 crores. So if for some reason you don't go through the civil services, you can start in going to defense industries or simultaneously. Okay, this is the money which is lying as far as in the government is concerned. I mean, what I am saying, let me tell you, from the day I joined the forces, then the civil services, etc., this has been a dramatic change. Dramatic change, the way, the government has come forward to promote a particular industry. I think same thing is now being done to AI and other ones. The, what you call supercomputers, okay, and the AI. We are late, we are already late as a country, nation. But I think the government is moving fast. So nevertheless, the point to carry home, ladies and gentlemen, is that today, defense industry is a game changer in India's rise as a major economy in the world. It's a game changer in establishing India's sovereignty and strategic autonomy in the country. It's a game changer as far as the new entrepreneurship and the rise of Indian young youth is concerned. So in nutshell, one industry is shaping the destiny of the future of India. And it is important slice there. And apparently, obviously, it's strengthening Indians' indigenous defense capability. Because that is a long-term gain as far as the Indian defense forces are concerned. So this is the impact of one industries, which for reasons, political reasons, were neglected in the past on absurd thought process that if you manufacture weapon systems, we'll be in a war mode. So this, as you are moving into 21st century, as we are trying to establish a strategic autonomy, already the things are in the horizon, how the countries have gone against us. First it was China trying to bail us down in 2020. Now the United States trying to bail us down through the tariff war. And mind you, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. As you people are rising in the system, you will find more and more opposition, okay, as you keep growing up. When I first went on my diplomatic assignment, we had a briefing by then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh on certain issues. And he told one thing. He says, I am an economist, I don't know much of diplomacy. But जब तक आप लोगों के पॉकेट में पैसे नहीं होगा ना, दुनिया में कोई आपको इज्जत नहीं करेगा. A very apt statement from an economist. He says, you may talk, you have Rig Veda, you have Atharva Veda, you had so and so Sanatan Dharma, so and so, कुछ भी कर लो. Okay, जिस दिन आपके पॉकेट में पैसा नहीं होगा, the world will not respect you. And when he says पॉकेट में पैसा है, इसका मतलब है our economy should be strong, our industry should. And how our economy should be strong? It doesn't not by talking, by promoting industries. Because our economy cannot become strong purely through salaries or through normal shops and all. Economy can become strong only when you promote industries. Because if you say American economy has grown because of industry, the European economy came after industrial revolution, yes or no? Okay, they become a powerful economy because of industries. China today is, and what China, both of us are same. In 47, in 1990, both of us were same economy. Today their economy is 3 times than us, GDP, or not more, almost 4.5 times than us. They are 19 trillion, and we are going to touch 3.5 trillion or 4 trillion. It's only because of manufacturing, industries. So, ladies and gentlemen, as civil servants, promotion of defense industries is a very important element of your discharge of responsibility and duties, number 1. Number 2, from the point of examination, okay, only today I have spoken to you about defense industries. I have given you the evolution of defense industry, how it changed overnight and why it did not, was not supported by the governments before. And I have given you statistics to support that how the defense industries has developed over a period of time. So with that, since you have some other subjects, I can, those of you who have got class to attend can leave, otherwise somebody who got questions, we can leave for question answers. We'll wait for some time, anybody has got questions. Otherwise, but people who want to leave can leave. Some people have got questions, you can ask. Yeah. Mic thoda dena unko tak. We'll have a 1 minute break. All people who want to leave can leave, but some people can spare 10-15 minutes to listen to questions, can stay back. Because I don't want disturbance while somebody is asking a question, some people to leave. Some guy got classes can leave. We'll give a little break. Yeah. Otherwise there will be disturbance. Yeah.
Sir, when we are talking about policy implementation at industry level, like we are transforming towards our carbon hydrogen fuel to EV fuel, we are planning to do in a wide level in automobile and various other sectors. But I think in a wider level, if we compare to China, and with respect to us, we are planning, but there is a lack of, you can say, basic things which are lacking in our policy making, which needs to be critically analyzed, like what are the basic things which are needed to manufacture EV. If we are importing from China, then what is the purpose of being carbon free by 2030? Like, or you can say more basic thing is like how EV are manufactured. Like the Congo region is majorly the companies of China majorly captures whole of the cobalt which is generated. So I think in a very higher level we need to think of those things which are very critical elements, which are very needed for these. Like if we say we are going to build AI, we are also have to focus on the electricity requirement which we will be needing, or we can say semiconductor which we are now talking about. It will be needed at a very high level. So I think we have to cover up our basics first, then we can think of.
See, your answer to the questions that, or rather that you have in mind, link it from the point of view how this defense industry is also grown. We may have any doubts, anything you can say, then I'll come back to your EV and the other questions in this thing. When defense industry, when people are starting, the same question came up. How can we, our policies are not good, that how can, supposing we want to make a night vision binocular, we require image intensified tubes, we require infrared tubes, we require so and so cable, we require so and so this thing. We do not have, how can you make so and so? Okay. We do not have the right metallurgy to make, forget about weapon systems. We do not have metallurgy even to make bulletproof jackets, etc. These were the questions. As an user, let me tell you, I have come across this question during my lifetime, and so and so, and there was no answer for many, many years. But today, I happened to visit a factory in Kanpur who is making these bulletproof jackets and all. As amazed, they have developed an indigenous technology which we could not even think, but that will ever get this such technology even in the world. And this symbol, this particular company today is not only providing these bulletproof jackets to the armed forces and the police forces here, but is today exporting to more than about 20 countries. It has already established a factory in Germany, it has already established a factory in Latin America. I have seen this factory coming up in last just about 5-7 years. Another one company again in near Lucknow, it's gone in for titanium casting, a very niche technology. Now when you look back as to why, you see all these things can be related to policies, etc. Policy ठीक नहीं था, फलन ठीक था, but they all devise indigenous means to produce these items. So coming back to electrical vehicles per se, yes, we know one of the major components of EV are the batteries. Okay, and the batteries earlier used to be made in nickel cadmium, now it's come into your lithium ion batteries, for which there are certain amount of rare earths which are required. But then it so happened that China, through a good policy, thought about it, not now, about EV 20 years back. Do you know this? We didn't even think about it. There are policy lacunas. Some have succeeded, some have not succeeded. Today, if China is able to, because they knew that they have adequate amount of lithium reserves out here, hence they put so much of energy into production of lithium ion batteries that today they are masters of the lithium ion. But then, is lithium ion battery the only solution to the EVs? There are already alternatives coming up. In fact, I came across another EV manufacturer in Bangalore some time back, where he's just not using lithium. Okay, so what is happening is new amount of alternatives are coming up, and no country can ever have domination on these issues. On the question of policies today, the government is enabling a lot of policies. But then the amount of key initiatives they have taken in terms of defense, what I mentioned to you, and the thrust they have given, they are not able to give to a large number of the other industries because such industries are also controlled by states. मुझे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक बनाना पड़ेगा, ठीक है ना? So I can't make everything at the government of India level. So I have to give it to the states. In terms of defense, you may not have depend upon states. The central government does it on its own. Okay. So abhi now they have announced superconductors factories, 4 to be made. Semiconductors, right? Well, these are initiatives which will be taken, but for which it's not only the finance which is required to be given, it is all sort of support system which is required to be given. So policy making is a very evolutionary process, right? One policy which will be enunciated today may not be relevant tomorrow. But the fact is, at that point of time, technology has moved so fast today. ये जो मोबाइल आपने पकड़े हो अभी तक, these mobiles, just go 10 years back. Were you using the same mobile? 20 years back, you were not even using this mobile. 20 साल पहले एक छोटा सा मोबाइल होता था, बड़े मुश्किल से, और लगा लो 10 साल पहले. You see, the way technology has moved rapidly, similarly the policy making is taking place. But when you talk of as future civil servants, what you need to be sensitized both from a functional point of view and also from the examination point of view is that policy formulation, policy implementation for the growth of industries, any industry, not only defense per se, are a very important element, okay, for which you people will be involved. And for which you need to know the various policies which are governing. Say for instance, you get a questions on the development of AI. How is country moving towards development of artificial intelligence and also the other electronics? On issue of data protection, on issue of cyber security was an important major question in 2024. Okay, so many policies of the government has come up. It's important that 5-6 industry ka jo hai, where is emerging, you go through the official websites during your spare time. Even if it may not be part of it. I'm giving you certain tricks of the trade. Because all questions that we set for you during exams, even in the, or even ask you in interview, we desire that people must have gone through the government portals, and which many of you don't do. Now there is talk of AI, there is talk of electronics, there is talk of so and so. Please go to the government portals. You will find and go to the take out at least 3-4 policies letters of the government. If the vision is, sometimes I find vision makes summary of those policies and gives it to you. Even if they are not, because summary is a summary. वो पूरा policy निकाल दो, पूरा पढ़ो, अपना notes बनाओ. Make your own notes. I have given you 3 policies: a defense acquisition procedure, defense procurement policy, and so on. Only I put 3. There are about 20 odd policies, but I just put 3 of the policies out here. उसकी 4-4, 5-5 point बना दो. Because when you answer questions, say for instance, you given a question आ गया तुम्हारे पास कि write about the electronics industries of India. Okay, anything, solar energy आ गया, non-conventional energy आ गया, फलन आ गया. All these are very pertinent questions. If in your, जिसको बोलते हैं बैंक डिपॉजिट्स, सेफ डिपॉजिट में तुम्हारे पास इस क्वेश्चन का 3-4 पॉलिसी लेटर दिमाग में है ना, यू हैव मेड द डे. यू स्टार्ट द आंसर, वाइड गवर्नमेंट बाय पॉलिसी सो एंड सो 2020. Okay, I so वगैरह करके and salient points. The marks that you will get when a person sees your answer sheets will be far different than a person who just gives general answers. Because we expect people who are joining civil services must go through the Government of India policies. And this is, you can analyze the questions, because I've said questions a couple of times. That's what I'm telling you, because we undergo a lot of, we do visualize all these things. So, from the point of view of preparations, Government of India portals, websites, on policy issues, please make your own notes. One notes will be what the coaching institute gives you. Another set of notes will be what you make yourself, and you will agree with, I mean, once you make it, you will tell me कि sir, आपने जो बताया तो एकदम सही है, कि मैं जब खुद notes बनाया, I could bring in so many points which is not there in the places given, or which I can't visualize also. Because जब आप पढ़कर आप अपना points बनाओगे ना, you will start writing those points that hits you. और ये point अच्छा लग रहा है point, and you immediately memorize it, rather than trying to pick up 5 points from outside agency and trying to remember this. This is art of memorizing things. When you make any summary of things, you do it on your own. Because it takes efforts. Because in our method to do shortcuts, हम क्या करते हैं, कोई 5 पॉइंट लिख देते हैं, फिर याद नहीं होता है. So what I want to tell you is that, apart from the defense industry that you, this thing, there will be a lot of questions relating to industries and policies in some form or the other. So start making notes on those. Yeah. Eh?
Due to the GPS system and all those of things. So we can say modern war is not only dependent on the weapons, it is more dependent on the technology. So defense sector and space sector should go in hand to hand. Like we can create the radar system from the space, we can monitor like if something is entering in our territory, then we can already get track of that. So, like, what are the policies which are collaborated with defense and space both, like GPS system and radar system from the space and all these kind of things?
This is already integrated into the defense system. As far as integrating space platforms to the Indian defense is concerned, we have a Indian Strategic Theatre Command, okay, which looks after the space issues, okay, till 500 kilometers in the atmosphere. Beyond 500 kilometers is dealt by the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, and the space authorities, okay. So already the entire process, because we have huge amount of satellites, the armed forces, which are operating only to support these issues, because whether it is Air Force, Army, Navy, a huge amount of weapon system goes in the air. Whether it's a missile जो छोड़ोगे तो हवा में जाता है, ठीक है ना? It goes through, travels through this thing. Whether it's an aircraft, whether it's a gun system, or anything for that matter. So that we have a very integrated management of the space, okay, which is very intricately designed into the defense systems, right? Beyond that, satellites, etc., are dealt by the Space Authority of India or the Department of Space. So there's a clear definition. 500 kilometers and above, they do it. We look after 500 kilometers below. Okay, yeah.
डिफेंस इंडस्ट्री में अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, बट अकॉर्डिंग टू सिप्री रिपोर्ट 2020 एंड 24 वी आर सेकेंड इम्पोर्टर ऑफ डिफेंस. तो सर ये कॉन्ट्राडिक्शन है दोनों पे, तो ये कैसे ठीक किया जा सकता है?
हाँ, बिकॉज यू नो देर इज स्टिल जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हमारे लेट्स से 3 साल 4 साल 5 साल पहले हमने साइन किए थे कि हम चीज़ें इसको खरीदेंगे. कोई चीज़ जो 1 साल में हम वो करते, सपोज हम हवाई जहाज़ खरीद रहे हैं, लेट अस टेक इट, हमको चाहिए 50 हवाई जहाज़. वो 50 हवाई जहाज़ तो 1 साल में तो आता नहीं है, वो हर साल 5-5 7-7 10 इस मुताबिक आता रहता है. हमने पॉलिसी तो बना दिया कि हम बनाएंगे करके, बट उसको तो बंद नहीं कर पाएंगे ना. ओके, टैंक्स ला रहे हैं, हवाई जहाज़ ला रहे हैं, ऑल दिस थिंग्स स्टिल जो हमने पहले से कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करके रखा हुआ है, लॉन्ग टर्म कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स, दे हैव टू बी ऑनर्ड. दैट्स नंबर वन. सेकेंड, lot of critical equipment we still have to depend upon foreign sources, and critical equipment की price बढ़ जाता है. The amount may not be very big, okay, but that particular equipment when you want to import, that itself the price goes. So what they tell you in terms of volume of money, okay, this is what amount of input, but not the question of quantity. So critical equipment is always very expensive. हवाई जहाज के ले लो, सबमरीन्स के ले लो, उसकी ले लो, स्पेस की ले लो, ओके, बिकॉज दैट्स हाउ द वेस्टर्न नेशंस मेक मनी, बिकॉज उनके पास टेक्नोलॉजी है और उनको सस्ते में तो देंगे नहीं है. सो उनको हमको खरीदना पड़ेगा. और जब तक हम अपने सिस्टम्स नहीं बनाएंगे बिकॉज पूरी तरह से, वी हैव टू स्टिल डिपेंड अपॉन देम. दो वी आर गोइंग, वी हैव, दैट इज व्हाई द गवर्नमेंट हैज पुट इन सो मच मनी ना. तुम बनाओ, जल्दी बनाओ यार, ठीक है ना. ये सीतारमण कोई पागल नहीं है कि भाई 76,000 करोड़ को रखा हुआ है, 76,000 करोड़ को, नॉट अ स्मॉल अमाउंट ऑफ मनी. उसने अलग रखा है, भाई तुम बनाओ कर कर. द अर्जेंसी इज देयर, बट ओवरनाइट तो बन नहीं पाएगा ना. इट टेक्स टाइम. सो वी हैव टू स्टिल इम्पोर्ट मेनी थिंग्स टू मीट आवर रिक्वायरमेंट. और अल्टीमेट सेल्फ रिलायंस 100% तो कोई कंट्री नहीं कर पाएगा. इवन US ऑल्सो डजंट हैव 100% सेल्फ रिलायंस. कल हम पूरे सेल्फ रिलायंस बन भी जाएंगे, 20-25% तो फिर भी हम इम्पोर्ट करना पड़ेगा. So that's what makes them. And since those equipment are expensive, so numerically that amount becomes little bigger. Okay. हाँ.
तो सर एक क्वालिटेटिव टेक्नोलॉजी कैसे लाया जाए सर?
क्वालिटेटिव
टेक्नोलॉजी कैसे लाया जाए?
रिसर्च. अब जितने रिसर्च में पैसे डालोगे, जितने पीपल लाइक यू या यंग माइंड्स, ओके, गो डीप इनटू सच थिंग्स, राइट, दे विल ब्रिंग क्वालिटेटिव. I'll give you an example. I've gone for a talk to IIT Bhubaneswar last month. They showed me that we have developed one technology, we wanted to show it to you. I said, what's it like? I was amazed, you know, there is a PhD student who is topper of IIT Bhubaneswar, of course, and so on. They come out with a model of a small micro turbojet engine. हवाई जहाज में जो तुम्हारा जेट इंजन लगता है ना, बड़े बड़े जेट्स लगते हैं, वो तो बना नहीं पा रहे. बट मेकिंग अ स्मॉल इंजन इज अ वेरी वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स ऑपरेशन, वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स ऑपरेशन, बिकॉज द ब्लेड्स हैव टू मूव वेरी वेरी फास्ट एट समथिंग टू द ट्यून ऑफ 1 lakh revolutions per minute, etc. इट हैज टू हाई. एंड हमने बोला कि सर्टिफिकेशन क्या है इसका, दिखाइए. बना तो दिया तुमने. सो दे एज अमेज्ड, they got it certified mechanically as per the aviation standards. Only thing that it has to be enmeshed with the electronics. Okay, वो electronics का अभी तक वो only European and American have got this thing. अब उसको कोई दे नहीं रहा. End user certificates को मिले, तो 101 things are there. So luckily it was shown to me, and I spoke to some people in the government, etc. And that entire project is now being taken over by the government, okay, and wherein electronic integrations has to be done. Okay, so it's not that we don't have talent, right? But इसमें क्या हुआ? This बच्चे ने could not move ahead because to get that electronics component integrated with the small micro turbojet engine, that itself import cost was more than over 10 crores. वो IIT said will give you maximum about 1 crore or something. उससे ज़्यादा हम देंगे नहीं, हमारे पास पैसे नहीं है. बैठ गया वो. He has made the mechanical part, but वो बैठ गया उसको. It was by luck, you know, that I went, and it is not gone into full conclusion. I'm just talking a month back, but such things happens, you know. So point to say is that unless we put money, and डरना नहीं है. All research is okay. पता नहीं जब राइट ब्रदर्स ने हवाई जहाज निकाला था, आपको अगर पढ़े होंगे, कितने बार उसने गिरा है. उसकी मदर, राइट ब्रदर्स की मदर ऑलमोस्ट उसको दोनों के टांग बांध ले, बोले तुम जाओगे नहीं बाहर, तुम बिल्कुल गिर जाओगे हवाई जहाज से, तुम्हारे दोनों बच्चे मर जाएंगे. हिज मदर स्टार्टेड, यू नो, टाइड, लिटरली टाइड देयर लेग्स, तुम बाहर नहीं तो दरवाजा बंद कर लोगे. सो दे रैन अवे बोथ ऑफ देम टू ए फार फ्लंग एयरफील्ड. ओके, वहाँ पर जाकर उन्होंने प्रैक्टिस वो किया. They must have failed 100 times, mind you. पैसे भी नहीं होते थे उस टाइम पर. So it is that perseverance, you know, unless you do. ऐसा कोई नहीं है कि that first जब तुम्हारा go हो जाएगा. नहीं, you'll keep failing, because these are niche technologies. यार हम अभी तक एक बॉल पॉइंट नहीं बना पा रहे. डू नो दिस? ये जो बॉल पॉइंट है ना, ये वाला, ये बॉल पॉइंट है ये. हाँ, ये इंडिया में बनता है. ये सब जापान कोरिया से आता है. ये वाला ऊपर वाला. Can you imagine? If I tell you certainly, you will get amazed. ये LED बल्ब लगता है ना हर जगह पे. We don't have technology to manufacture LED bulbs. You getting my point? Let's not think that we are, you know, जो भी कुछ हो जाए, कल पैसे डालो, पॉलिसी बना देगा, वो कर देंगे, हो जाएगा. No, it requires tremendous perseverance. And just because when I see this defense, and I told the organization vision that I would like to appraise the students for this particular career, because I can feel the way this particular industry has developed despite the limitations of technology which is there. It's amazing, let me tell you. And it can happen in anything, any industry per se. So we have huge challenges because we have never put a mind. Tell me which are the, आपने सब कॉलेज में पढ़े हुए हैं, okay, and in how many were from technology background? Raise hands. Science background, something. सबका प्रोजेक्ट दिया होगा आपको, बड़े बड़े प्रोजेक्ट बना दिए होगा आपने. How many projects, okay, in your colleges and universities have got some patents? पेटेंट समझते हो ना? आप बताओ तुम्हारे कॉलेज में कितने पेटेंट हुए थे? Which कॉलेज यू बिलोंग टू? गाजियाबाद में. तुम्हारे कितने पेटेंट हुए होंगे?
Means I can't give the number, but I can say it is very less, and this is not by the students. I think this is by the research scholars who are teaching us. Means from the teacher itself, the patents are.
We can't. We are not able to produce patents. France alone, only the academic institutions. Why today France is one of the leading countries? This thing is that they alone produce 5,000 patents in a year, academic institutions. हमारे इतने सारे colleges, we have got 1,200 universities in the country, okay, we can't even produce 100 patents. They have got 1/4 of our universities in France, and they produce 500, 5 times. So that we have to seriously look at, and we can do it, mind you, the way I'm seeing things changing fast. We can do that. So, we have no way, let me tell you. We have no way. अच्छा हुआ वो ट्रंप ने और 25% डाल दिया. मैं बता रहा हूँ और 25% डालने से अच्छा रहेगा. So that people start thinking कि let's start doing on our own.
The teachers whom we studied, the experience is different because we are from that era with technology is very used to us, but the teachers means the people who are in teaching us, they are not much experienced in the technology.
Doesn't matter. You don't have to depend on teachers. Today, let me tell you, people created prototypes purely through ChatGPTs.
Like sir, I have
ChatGPT के through से people have created models.
like sir, we have an ideas like we can create an air wall. I have one question: can bullets means bullets can be destroyed in air by using waves or something?
Bullets can they be destroyed in the air?
Yes.
Through what? By using waves.
Any waves or certain things?
Electronic waves you're talking of?
Any kind of waves.
Yes, it can be done.
Then we can create a air wall by using the space sector. From there, we can create outside our territory a wall which will be saving us from outside invaders, like because any weapon.
No, I got your point.
bullet
See,
and
these
all
are all
those things.
these are all research ideas.
Yes.
Okay, some research ideas are good for laboratories, but the moment they get into test beds, okay, they find difficulties. Okay, the moment you want to scale up to industries, they still becomes impractical.
Those waves will destroy our aerospace and technology
Huh?
and telecommunication.
Who?
Those waves may destroy our air
नहीं
aerospace and telecommunication.
प्रेजेंट नहीं आ रहा. You have microwave, high powered microwaves, you have lasers, okay, you have EMPs, electromagnetic pulse. ये सब चीज डिस्ट्रॉय कर देंगे. क्या प्रॉब्लम है? बट अगर वो चीज डिस्ट्रॉय कर हम क्यों वेपन नहीं बना पाएंगे? लेट अस क्रिएट ऑल्सो वेपन सिस्टम्स बेस्ड अपॉन दैट. हम क्यों नहीं बना पाएंगे? यू गेटिंग माय पॉइंट? यू आर यू अ टेक्निकल स्टूडेंट? नहीं. You understand EMP, electromagnetic pulse. It's a huge amount of energy. Okay, मैं एक छोटा सा आपका टॉर्च में I'll tell you, एक वो मलेशियन एयरलाइंस गायब हो गया था, मालूम है आपको? मलेशियन एयरलाइंस गायब हो गया था, कोई ट्रेस ही नहीं मिला. Secret is, I will not name the country, but a country used EMP, electromagnetic pulse, to destroy that. कोई नाम निशान नहीं रहा. It became smoke within no time. Dust. Such is the power of such high energy. We call them direct energy weapon systems, DE weapon systems. Okay, so सब कुछ बन सकता है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. अगर जिसने मारा है, जिसने डिस्ट्रॉय किया है, okay, वो भी तो कंट्री किसने बनाया है ना. So we can also make it. हाँ, you had some question. आपका कुछ सवाल था.
Sir, I was asking like in the recent times, the government has decreased the repo rate just to increase the liquidity in the market, and still the private players are not increasing their capex, capital expenditure, and this was there in the news also. So is this impacting the private players in the defense industries also, or they are producing with the same pace without taking the tension of these uncertainties which are going in the.
See, capex infusion or the liquidity infusion is one aspect. The second aspect is that it is a focused infusion availability of funds to a particular. You want to manufacture. तुमको you have got a project of 10 करोड़ का, ठीक है ना? तुमको चाहिए support. तुमने raise किया 2-3 करोड़, 6-7 करोड़ तुमको चाहिए. How much the government comes in to help you out for the 6-7 crores? So what is happening in defense is that unlike other industries, where to get that 6-7 crores is pretty difficult, in defense industries now it has become easy to get it through various government policies. Okay, that is the change. It has got nothing to do with capex and all, right? For larger capex, if supposing somebody comes with a thing of 1,000 crores, but he says कि मुझे 700 करोड़ चाहिए. Okay, well, government may not give him 7 crores straight away. He says कि I'll give you 300 crores, तू 400 crore market से उठा दे. Some sort of a thing will happen. But the government intention to be part of the industry growth is very evident. Okay, in major critical technologies industries like the defense and others, electronics. What is my point? Yeah.
Sir, so in case if these private players are not means due to these uncertainty, if they start to stop these productions in the defense sector, then our dream of the 2030.
Why should they stop? You got such a wonderful ecosystem. क्यों बंद करेंगे वो? The growth, 36% growth जो export का हुआ है. Okay.
Many of the countries are going through like self means they are saving their domestic markets. So we are also going through we are not going through.
सुनो,
investment-led growth.
डिफेंस ऐसा प्रोडक्ट्स होता है, हम सबको डिफेंस प्रोडक्ट चाहिए नहीं चाहिए अपने आपको बचाने के लिए. आफ्टर ऑल एवरी कंट्री रिक्वायर समथिंग फॉर ओन सेक और यस और नो. अभी तक कौन को सप्लाई करता था? अमेरिका करता था, यूरोप करता था, फलाना करता था, ठीक है. हम बोलते थे हम कर नहीं पाएंगे, हमारे पास टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं है, और हु इज गोइंग टू फाइट विद अमेरिकन्स एंड यूरोपियंस to get that niche market and so on. So it's not a goodwill investment. That is why it took almost कितने साल लग गया 47 से 2020 to get into full scale आत्मनिर्भर डिफेंस. फुल स्केल आत्मनिर्भर 47 से लेकर 2020 कितना साल हो गया? 70 साल से ऊपर हो गया ना. 75 साल लग गया हमको सोचने के लिए कि भैया हमको फुल थ्रॉटल चलना चाहिए डिफेंस इंडस्ट्री के अंदर. और इन योर लाइफ टाइम you will see so much of changes into the defense industry, you will be amazed. I am telling you, if you join the services that we are talking of, civil services, you will be so much deeply involved in this all sectoral issues of defense. You will be amazed. This world is changing too fast, just too fast. Even when it comes to AI, robotics, and so on, so on, so you will find defense equipment predominantly governing the things. Okay. Yeah.
In recent time, we saw that there is a good sign coming for China and India relation, but somehow we have the similar interest in the industrial growth, and we have a huge trade surplus with the US and
ट्रेड सरप्लस हमारे पास नहीं, यूएस के साथ ट्रेड सरप्लस नहीं, ट्रेड डेफिसिट है, ट्रेड डेफिसिट है, वी आर नॉट सरप्लस विद यूएस.
But sir, my question is that they are already controlling the world markets in defense industries and other industries. Then how we are going to search for the new markets, and what are our objectives to provide to the world so that they saw us as a competent partner?
I showed you before 2020 our exports were not more than to 10 to 15 countries. In 5 years, we are exporting to 100 countries. You see the power of technology. Okay, so we are exporting to 100 countries. And I give you this example, my visit to these 2 factories, one in Lucknow, one in Kanpur. Okay, my God, I was amazed. Let me tell you, my life, I am a combat man. वो हमारा वो पुराने ज़माने का जो क्या बोलते हैं लाइफ व्हाट डू कॉल दैट बुलेट प्रूफ जैकेट, यू नो व्हेन आई वाज अ यंग ऑफिसर, वो यूज्ड टू कैरी यूज्ड टू वे समथिंग अबाउट 3.5 to 4 kilos, 4-5 किलो के करीब होता था. हेलमेट बड़ी अनदर बड़ी 2 kilos. मैं तो जिंदगी में पहना नहीं, फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग, मतलब गोली भी लग जाएगा कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, एक्सेप्ट फॉर यू नो वेरी क्लोज कॉम्बैट, यू नो I used to wear, but for normal lunch never wear because it's so cumbersome. 5-6 किलो कौन उठा के लेके जाएगा? Because you are not only carrying this, ना, उसका साथ तुम्हारा weapon है, तुम्हारा ammunition है, तो सब कुछ है तुम्हारे पास. You are just carrying 15-20 kilos and already fighting. How will you fight? But this guy in Kanpur, I saw that bulletproof jacket is costing less. It is weighing less than 1 kg. And it's got more effective than the one that लोहा वाला आज बड़ी चद्दर जो इसके ऐसे घुसा देते थे हमको. And this is again indigenous. All those guys who are in around UPSC want to visit, I can tell you this is phenomenal job is done. And first generation guy, ऐसे नहीं कि उसका बाप कोई बनाता था. फिलहाल fact he was basically Agarwal, this thing करके he had some money, but then अपने पैसे लगाकर अपने indigenous लगाकर जो है he got the scientists and all aggregate करा के he has been able to produce both helmets and bulletproof jackets of world class. वही हिंदू कर पाएंगे, ठीक है ना, and that's why he's exporting. So it can be done. Okay, next.
My question is to you that do you think that recent Operation Sindoor was more of a failure than success? Because
but what makes you feel that it's a failure?
We could not win the war of perception.
What makes you feel that we couldn't do it?
We could not win the war of perception only, and
it's a perception. Yeah, you have got a point.
Because realities.
Because
reality is perception. We could not create a global perception that yes, Pakistan is definitely using policy of 1,000 cuts through terrorism, and there is no global, support to India much.
Your second point is very valid, because I just told you I was in Singapore last month, and some of the local Singaporeans did ask me this question, that why is government of India not very assertive on their success per se?
Yes.
Okay, we don't find that in foreign newspapers anything which is coming on these issues. The reason is, I'll tell you, is that the skirmish which went actually escalated into a conflict, right, was such that only such conflicts are initiated when you declare war against another country. If you see our Government of India policies per se, you can carry out only a missile and airstrike in another nation only when you declare a war, and that war has to be passed in the parliament per se. Now, we did something, a war-like situation, without declaring a war per se. So that was at the policy level. Number two, our initial policy of the government has been always that we will target terrorist bases and not military this thing, because again that will lead to a war sort of a thing. But we had to move into our new targeting system of targeting military targets, because on 9th of May, we were surprised when they sent 500 odd drones to us in retaliation to what we wanted to do. So this was again an act of war from their side of sending 500 drones. Then we took a concerted decision whether to proceed ahead with only terrorist targets or to go for military targets. So when we decided to go for military targets, we had to go in for long range missiles attack onto this particular place. And we achieved phenomenal success as far as destruction of their military targets are concerned. But when their destruction became too much, and to the extent that when we destroyed the Rahimya Khan Air Force Base and we hit their nuclear storage facility at the Chagai Hills, that's the time their Director General Military Operations, right, came up and said, we want to stop this. This is the actual fact. Now, for reasons why we didn't go berserk in trying to say proclaim our success is that, if you see the policies, like we have said that the Op Sindoor is still not over, it's continuing, because our intelligence says that not only the Pahalgam attack was to be followed by 2 to 3 more attacks subsequently, for which our intelligence had already got it, this thing. And when the operation is still not complete, okay, we don't want to declare our so-called success and keep our options open in other fields. That was our strategy. Where Pakistan, despite having losses, carried out a much higher perception management warfare in the world, saying that nothing has happened to us. Okay, Indians are just telling like this, and no destruction has taken place, and went in for a different, totally unprofessional, disillusionary thing of trying to say that, because we have won, that's why we have elevated our Chief of Army Staff to a Field Marshal, and so on, so on, so forth. Okay. But as a policy, we don't want to get into false promises per se, and which is correct. Let me tell you, despite whatever perception warfare that they do it, the world is not blind to what is happening. Recently, they honored in Pakistan 26 widows. 26 widows, they're given some medals in the ceremony. 120. I don't know the figures, but total, widows were 26, other people 120 or something. And it was apparent. वो कहाँ मरे वो लोग? बाढ़ में तो नहीं मरे, लैंडस्लाइड में तो नहीं मरे, and if they died in landslides or this thing, उनको मेडल क्यों दी जाएगी? Okay, so there were sufficient casualties. पूरी जो उसकी जो टेररिस्ट था, क्या नाम उसका? हाफिज सैद वाला, ठीक है ना? उसकी फैमिली पर चले गए यार, वो तो बच गया लास्ट मोमेंट में, नहीं तो वो भी निकल जाना था. And when you look at this type of warfare, it's a very complex warfare. थोड़ा सा गलती होता है ना, left right. And mind you, when we destroyed their missile storage plant, maybe I think we'll keep it with you only, in the Chagai Hills, we could hit that particular target maybe half of this blackboard, which is just a window in their underground stuff. वो ventilator था वो, जिसमें air conditioner होता था. This sort of a thing was targeted from a distance of 300 kilometers. Can you imagine? From 300 kilometers we fired a missile, okay, and it went and hit exactly at this point. This is the level of precision and proficiency that was executed. And very few countries in the world has this technology. So we don't, because we are not selling our weapon system to President Karke. We are tremendous. And to get this thing done up, supposing he's sitting there, last guy, he's firing a missile. Let's say the distance is 300 kilometers. The moment it is 50 kilometers, that missile, it goes up in the space. It is no longer in the navigation system of the person who has fired. That navigation system is taken over by the satellites. And the missile is flying at a distance, at a speed of Mach 1, that is speed of sound or double the speed of sound. You know what is the speed of sound? Say 700, 800 kilometers per hour. The missile is maybe flying at 1500 kilometers per hour. So during this course of the trajectory, it's not only one satellite. There are 4 or 5 satellites which are integrating and catching on to that particular missile and navigating. And at the terminal level, what is happening is, there is a satellite which is firing a laser to this here. That missile rides onto the laser and hits it. Such complex things. You can't imagine. Now to achieve such this thing, now internally we know the entire Pakistan military establishment, okay, has been absolutely shocked. हमको बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Even the Chinese have got this thing. What happened in Galwan? Galwan के अंदर, though we lost 20 guys, they have lost more than 70 guys. But they have not come out. I know of the officer who is son of a very dear friend of mine. He's a major. ऐसे slope था Galwan slope में, one of the heights, where the Chinese said will not move. Mind you, it's a height of 16,000 feet. At that night, the temperature goes into minus 30 degrees centigrade. Our commandos, led by this officer whom I know, पीछे से गया, okay, and mind you, in the night, climbing something about 70 to 80 degrees, rocks के अंदर, 10 people went, strong commandos, 10 to 20 people with the weapon systems and all. अगर how do I explain to you? मानो ये वो पहाड़ी है. Let's say this is the पहाड़ी. Okay. Indians are here. The Chinese बीच में बैठ गए. The only way we could dislodge is that if you go up. And to climb this, we have to go through a nala. पानी, ठंड पानी, gorge. रातों रात ऊपर जाकर ऊपर जाना. It's not a very small feat. हम जाकर ऊपर बैठ गए. चाइनीज बीच में. तो सुबह उठा, चाइनीज देखा तो बड़ी हिंदुस्तान ऊपर. One small tactical operations unnerved the Chinese. And then when they wanted to come and attack us upwards, we didn't fire them. What we did was we put some blasts. वो मिट्टी धस गया. वो मिट्टी के साथ सारे नीचे चले गए. ऑफिशियली हमने बता दिया कि वो मिट्टी धस गया कर. ओके, अगेन अनदर वेव केम. दोबारा हमने मिट्टी को धसा दिया. हमने फायर नहीं किया, गोली नहीं मारा, बिकॉज वी हैव ए agreement that we will not open fire. But मिट्टी धंसने का तो कुछ नहीं है. छोटे छोटे we have these detonators. Okay, उसको मिट्टी में लगा दिया. And these commandos did this. This is all done by just 20 people. And the entire scenario of changed, tactical scenario changed and the country scenario changed. जब उनके 40 बंदे मिट्टी में धंस गए, they had no other option. And they could not come and occupy this because we were already sitting on the top. Then we did another maneuver from another side and trapped another Chinese patrol. बोलते हैं अब तुम वापस नहीं जाओगे, हम छोड़ेंगे नहीं तुमको. And these things don't come out in the open. Okay. No, but there will have to come out. There's nothing, because the Chinese know everything now. See, the Chinese came with so much of determination, and suddenly if you see that they fizzled out. Why? Is because we carried out a tactical dominance of that particular area. So your now hitting this particular thing is what? Technology, defense technology. The one hit on that window of that Chagai nuclear fuel thing, okay, totally stopped everything. One tactical hit, maneuver by the commandos and sitting on the top by using highly sophisticated detonators, उसको पता नहीं लगा, आवाज भी नहीं करता वो detonators, ठीक है, मिट्टी धंस गया. आवाज होता है तो चाइनीज बोलते ना भैया तुमने डेटोनेटर लगा दिया कर. But we have detonators who don't make noise. So this is how your technology, your defense ascendancy, your this thing can hugely orchestrate your foreign policies, your engagement with countries, your bilateral relationships, your negotiating power from country to country. And this is where you all, if you join the service, you will all be involved. If you join the foreign service, you will be part of it. You will join the administrative service, you will be part of it. And most of them are done, mind you, by the civil services guys. The army remains little in the background because we don't want to show too much of armed forces being, a part of it. We put people at the front. So these are part of a job, what I am trying to tell you. It's not that what the armed forces are doing. So all this matters as far as technology is concerned, and there is nothing which happens at the country level. Let me tell you, tomorrow Modi takes a decision, or Prime Minister, Home Minister takes a decision, something else takes a decision. They are highly integrated decision-making processes, which we spend hours and hours and hours. Okay, I don't know if you've, there's a movie on the Netflix on Osama bin Laden. How many people have seen? Netflix के ऊपर ओसामा बिन लैडन को बड़ा अच्छा पिक्चर आया है. Must see. Okay, when they killed Osama bin Laden. What is there? You must see the interdepartmental, coordinations before it happens. And Obama का पसीना देखना था. President of United States, so much of tension. इतने होने के बावजूद भी एक हवाई जहाज, one aircraft malfunction. You must see this movie. It's very interesting. जब आप यहाँ पर हो ना, see this type of movies. I'm telling you, आराम से बैठ जाओ शाम को, see this type of movies. You will get so much of ideas how the government functions, how military functions are done, how such operations are being conducted. Because at one time, if you join this service, you will all be involved in it. And if nothing, it will give you a lot of ideas. Let me tell you, when you are writing your papers, you got so many papers, 4 GS papers, कहीं ना कहीं ये सारी चीज़ करेंगे. Your essays, your mind opens up. It's not easy just to kill one man. Osama bin Laden. कब हुआ था 9/11? Which year? When did 9/11 take place? भूल गए सारे. क्या पढ़े आईएएस परीक्षा दोगे यार तुम, हैं? Eh? They could, neutralize Osama bin Laden after good out 9 years. Can you imagine? Despite so much of technology. And then, so when you talk of national power, technology and so, as long as you understand the dynamics of it, okay, one person is what you must, again I'm reiterating, anything that you want to understand, one is factuals, figures, which is also important, but more important is you understand the concept, the background. You understood the background, how the defense industry came up and कैसे हमने तोड़ा उसको ordnance factory को. Did you know about it? पहले मालूम नहीं था आपको. रातों रात ordnance factory को सारे तोड़ ताड़ कर जो है हमने DPUC बनाया, Defense Public Sector Unit. आज तो तुम लोग तो ज़्यादा पढ़े लिखो यार, पढ़ाई वढ़ाई करते हो हमसे. You should be knowing this. हैं? Okay. और कुछ any other question? Okay. Then. Thank you. हाँ.
Colonial mindset.
Hmm.
In that colonial mindset that we ask that we need approval from world to do something.
Approval from?
From world to do something, like if we have done something, then we need assertion from everyone that yes, we have did this, and everybody should give us credentials that we do. As I think on my personal basis, or we can say about if we are growing nation, then we don't seek others' approval. Like America does bombing on Iran, they doesn't seek any kind of approval from anyone. They didn't even care how.
See, one is approval, and one is remaining with the international norms. You see, we have so much of treaties, we have so much of understanding by which you are supposed to inform the world. Okay, let's take, we carry out a cross-border this thing. If you see, then the Prime Minister spoke personally to all the heads of the state. Or if not, the Foreign Minister speaks to their counterparts. कि हमने इसको किया हुआ है, because it's a norm. It's not that you are trying to tell them. Because what is happening is, you have violated certain international norms. You have gone and carried out a military strike against another country without even declaring a war. Okay, this is against military norms, international norms. So we'll have to tell people that why you have done. It's not trying to be saying that हम ये किया करके. You have to tell them the reasons behind it. One is today's in world of information, everybody knows what is happening. But then official communications from the head of the state or to the foreign minister to his counterpart is very essential to tell them that this is what you have done and that's why it is. Otherwise, they will not support us. We still, today, we may say UN is defunct or whatever it may be. But the fact is that we still require support at international forums. Okay. We just can't move away things like, we still, well, America may be bombarding, okay, but they have also an internal accountability. The president is supposed to get its approval from their, so many things are there, if not with international, but apparently if it is China or democratic North Korea हो जाएगा, वो शायद नहीं करेगा. But any self-respecting democratic countries have their own way of accountability. Okay. Okay, thank you very much.